Simone's persuasive speech. We're just proving that we have 5 people present really quick over the age of 16. That's Paul, Debbie, Jordan, Justin, and Chris. All right.
Who do you think you are? I am. Anybody know who that is?
Pete Weber.
That's right, Pete Weber, the most recognizable, infamous bowler of the modern era. Tom Clark of USA Today says that Pete Weber is raunchy, he's way out of control, but absolutely the most exciting bowler to watch on TV because he is PDW. So what I want to talk to you about today is bowling. Most men go out and bowl because they want to get away from the wife, go out and have a couple of drinks, smoke a couple cigarettes, just hang with the boys. Well, that might be good for some, but I bowl because it's a highly technical and highly competitive sport. So when I talk to people about bowling, a lot of times they say, oh, you mean like Kingpin or The Big Lebowski? No, and no, and no. Those movies do not do any justice to the perception about bowling. Bowling really is like any other professional sport. It requires a lot of practice, a ton of mental focus, a lot of athleticism, and highly advanced equipment. So what I want to do today is just share a little bit of my knowledge with you about the sport, and hopefully by the time I'm done, you'll have a better understanding about the sport, and a better appreciation for the sport, and you'll be a little inspired to get out there and try it yourself, all right? So the first thing I want to talk to you about with the sport of bowling, give you a little background on the lane oil. Have you noticed when you look across a bowling lane, you see this shiny, what looks like Crisco oil on the lanes? Well, that's not your imagination. And let me tell you, you put your foot across that lane and you slip and you fall, that's not your imagination either. That hurts. So back in the 1940s and the 1950s, bowling proprietors put lane oil across the lanes because the rubber bowling balls that rolled down that maple wood would just tear the lanes apart. So they put that oil on there for protection. Well, as the lanes have evolved, they're now a synthetic surface. So we no longer put oil on the lanes to protect the lanes. It really is to alter the skill level required to compete at a high level. So what does that mean? Okay, so let me go a little further. So the lane oil is oiled from side to side and front to back. Well, at the end of that oil, there's a friction spot or a dry area where there's no oil. And so what competitive bowlers look for is that friction area because the friction will allow the ball to grip the lane and hook into the pocket. Well, what does that mean? Well, when a ball hooks into the pocket where the head pin's at, it creates a lot of pin carry and a lot of strikes. Well, isn't that really the ultimate goal of the game of bowling, is to get a lot of strikes? It is, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you. So there's a little bit more to it, though. What about the bowling equipment? So the bowling equipment has also evolved. Back in the 40s and 50s, bowling equipment was rubber surface bowling balls with a cork filling in the inside the core. Then those evolved to plastic with a ceramic core, and then those eventually evolved to urethane with a bell-shaped core. And now today we have what we call reactive resin high-density cores. What does all that mean? Well, reactive resin is exactly what it says. It's a chemical reaction that takes place between the surface of the bowling ball because of additives that chemists have designed to put in the surface of the bowling balls that reacts with that oil, creates heat, and heat creates
friction.
Very good. And friction creates what? Hook.
Heat.
Hook.
Hook.
So the more hook that you create down lane, the greater pin action you get and the more strikes that you're going to get. So what I have for you today is I just want to show you a couple of my bowling balls that I have out here on the table. I have 3 pieces on display. This one is my biggest hooking bowling ball. This one doesn't quite hook as much as this one. It goes a little further down lane before it actually hooks. And then I have this one for when the oil is a little dried up and there's not enough oil to help push the ball down the lane, so it has a harder surface on it. So what does each one of these bowling balls cost? Well, generally they cost about $200 for a high-performance bowling ball. And how many do I own, you ask? Did you ask?
How many do you own?
You asked, right, Chris? So I'll answer that question. So I own 12. And Debbie just asked, how many do I carry to tournaments with me?
How many?
Yeah, I carry 8 with me to every tournament. So does anybody in the audience know how many of the top touring pros carry with, don't answer Justin, carry with them to tournaments?
100.
10 to 12?
Top touring pros carry about 30 bowling balls with them from stop to stop. Chris Barnes, one of the top touring bowlers on tour, carries 30 bowling balls with him. Fortunately for him, he's a ball rep for Columbia 300 bowling equipment, and he's a sponsored player, so he can absolutely afford it. So what I'm telling you, go dump $200 on a high-performance bowling ball. You too can get the ball down the lane, throw a hook, get lots of strikes, and the game's easy. It still does take a little bit of athleticism, and so what I want to do is just share with you a little technique that I use to help me get the ball to hook off that friction spot. So most novice bowlers think that you have to walk up to the lane and you spin the ball from the top of the ball, right? That's really not what you do to get the ball to hook. So what you do is you hold the ball in the palm of your hand with your fingers slightly pitched to the inside part of the bowling ball. As you come down through the swing, at the bottom of your swing, you release the bowling ball. You rotate your fingers slightly with your fingers pointed straight up in the air. Here's a fast look. Okay, easy peasy. So in conclusion, would like you all to go down and visit your local pro shop owner. You can pick up a low-end reactive resin bowling ball for about 80 bucks. Give it a try, because I promise you, if you learn how to throw a hook, you'll be hooked. Thanks.
Woo!